welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Streetside Brewery. That's right. So happy to have them back here in 2026. And honestly, I might not be able to live without them, okay? Streetside Brewery, best brewery in Cincinnati, bar none. Great place to watch FC Cincinnati matches, and great little community spot over on the east side of Cincinnati, the Columbia-Tusculum area there, where on January 24th, we're there doing a Caribbean cruise through Columbia-Tusculum in the east, and it is going to be a fantastic little event. Look, they've got it right down here. Shake off the winter blues with an all-day cruise through the East End and Columbia-Tusculum with their various ports of call, including tropical music, drinks, food specials, and more from Highmark, Streetside Brewery, and Fulton Yards Coffee House. Come on. This is a great event. This will be a good time. It is running virtually all day Saturday, January 24th. Go check them out. So, huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this and virtually every other episode of the Cincy Postcast. And on today's episode, oh man, we got a good one, okay? It is still the off season, but we are so excited to be joined by FC Cincinnati's newest coach, Brett Uttley. Great conversation with him. To get inside the mind of the man that has been brought in to bring a fresh perspective to the coaching staff. Before then, we catch up on some of the FC Cincinnati news, a couple of rumors that are still floating around out there. We break apart some of Chris Albright's comments as well as he talks to the media once again. You put it all together, you got yourselves a nice, neat little package of the Cincy Postcast. And joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by the one and only Chief. Chief, it's a really good thing that peak ski season lines up nicely with the off season, right?
Yeah, I do wonder how this is going to work out, though, once we do the calendar flip and all of a sudden Grayson is departing us. Although I guess we're still in the winter break right now, so maybe what happens is we get a real big sponsorship and we all go and record live in ski country. I'm not going to ski. Like, I enjoy both my legs being intact.
Yes.
The center of gravity is not helpful for your boy when it comes to skiing, but it's good timing in that regard because we miss Grayson. I'm sure most of the people listening to this miss Grayson as well, but if you're not going to be around, these are probably the weeks to do it, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I also think, as far as I can tell, the best part of skiing is like hanging out at the ski lodge.
Right.
So yeah, like postcast from the ski lodge sounds way nice. I'm in.
Yeah, it's away days where we're just going away. Is all that is. There's nothing.
Away season is what it is.
It's like there's another podcast I listen to every year where they go. It's a sports podcast and they go to Lake Tahoe for some celebrity athlete golf classic, and it's just you just guys want to go to Lake Tahoe is all that is. There's no legitimate business reason to be doing that. Like, oh yeah, we'll do a couple interviews and we'll write it off. It's a business expense. It's like people are stealing from the company till. I'm here for it. Believe me, I love it. My only regret in life, which I'm sure you're aware of if you listen to this show, is that I want in on your grift. Like, I'm okay with grifting existing and the abstract. I just want in on your grift.
Yes. How can we get sponsored by the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas? And then we just go and record a couple episodes every so often from the Bahamas. I think that sounds nice.
Yeah, or what we need MLS to do is we need MLS to adopt the college basketball, the non-exempt tournament thing where, you do go play the Battle for Atlantis, or you go out to Vegas, or you play in the Maui Classic, and then everybody goes that's covering it and with the team, and they just use it as a vacation where, we cover a game or two, but, it's tough being media, where you actually have to be present in these locations, right?
I think in that respect, FC Cincinnati is shortchanging us because there are some preseason tournaments that happen out on the West Coast. There's one that happens in Goodyear, Arizona, and there's one that happens in Vegas. And there used to be, one year we did this, the Carolina Challenge Cup.
Yeah. We should do more of these. Like, that should be a thing in
Yeah.
MLS, that the preseason, or this is something they can do over winter break, is that every team plays in one of these, like, non-exempt tournaments, and they host them around the country in places in the South or in the out West where there is no MLS. And it's like, yeah, they're made for TV products anyway. You watch these things on Feast Week for the NCAA tournament. Nobody's at these games in person. They exist just to fill TV inventory. And you're telling me that you wouldn't be able to get, like, Apple or sell this, like, specific package to Fox or some other property in February when otherwise,
Right.
you know, like, all you've got is, you know, the NFL is winding down. There's no college football. And you're telling me they don't have inventory space on linear cable to show here's the MLS Classic from Maui in this invitational sponsored by Tide. And here's another one that's the MLS, the Desert Showdown sponsored by, you know, Continental Tire. And you just put these teams into little pods and they play like a little 3-game thing. Come on. I'd watch. You'd watch. You're lying if you're saying you wouldn't watch this during a winter break.
And I'll up the ante a little bit. You could, because now you've sort of left MLS, and we definitely saw this in the past more, you can involve some of the USL teams. Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting at Al Lang Stadium, a little Tampa Bay Classic. I think you could have some fun with that.
Well, and here you go. You do that, and you tie that into the Open Cup. And so then when you start the Open Cup later in the season or whenever, that you've reduced the pool down naturally by the Open Cup is just the teams. The only teams that enter are the ones that win each one of these little non-exempt tournaments that happen during the winter break.
Yes, done, easy. Or any USL teams that win get entry into the Leagues Cup, and now shit gets weird.
Oh, sure. Why not? Let's do it. Let's get weird on it. It's just again, this is continuing the theme of last week's episode, where these are $100 ideas that we're just giving away free of charge to MLS.
At least 100 people would watch the YouTube live stream of one of these games. Okay,
right?
Like, that's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal.
I mean, Paramount just streamed a new Star Trek premiere, and it got like 1,000 people watching. We can definitely top that.
I think we got that. I think we could aim for that. And I promise you, cheaper. It'll just be cheaper. I just know it'll be cheaper.
No special effects needed.
Nope.
No one has to sit in makeup for 15 hours to play like the offspring of a Jem'Hadar and a Klingon. It's great.
Oh my God. Though, speaking of special effects, I don't know if you remember this, but for MLS is back.
Oh, they had the green screen where they were putting the ads in the back. Yeah.
Yes. Not just in the back. They put an Adidas logo at the midfield circle, if I remember correctly. Or at least they tried to. Something like that. But yeah, we could get really weird.
It does make you wonder why New England and Chicago specifically don't invest in that technology to green screen the parts of the stadium that are empty and just superimpose fans into there.
We figured this out during COVID. You could pump in crowd sounds during, for just TV. Like, I understand, the competitive balance, Atlanta Falcons not wanting to do that in the stadium. But yeah, and then absolutely, you already have teams like Nashville have the stadium seating is sort of
to make it really hard. It's to make it look hard to seem like if you can't tell if it's an empty seat or a fan because the colors are all screwed up. It's a brilliant idea. I don't know why
they're all blue. It's easy.
Yeah, I don't know why the Reds don't adopt this plan immediately.
It's also, I will say too, in the stadium, it's just visually more interesting. It's just big blank red seats in Great American Ballpark, boring. A smattering of red and white and gray or whatever it would be looks great. That's nice.
Or down at Azteca where they have the Corona logo into the seats and just completely sell out. If you could tell the Castellini family you could make another $50 by painting logos on the seats, they would absolutely take you up on it.
Oh my God! Well, how have they not already done this?
Right? What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, the Jeff Weiler red seats.
And
up at the top.
the business thing would be we can't get good because if we get good, we sell those seats and the ad gets blocked.
it pays out as a percentage of stadium capacity.
Yeah,
So
no, the ad is more valuable the fewer tickets you sell. So it's like, all right, guys, we need to make sure. It's like, why are the seats up in the upper deck $150 a game? It's like, we don't want. Mr. Weiler does not want his ad blocked. That would be the only way we lose in this situation.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm shocked we haven't already seen this.
Oh Lord, this is what you get when you get the off season. But Kevin, it feels like we are coming to a close. By the time all the good people listen to this, or watch this, because the video is being posted live on YouTube from now on, which means I actually have to look presentable when we do these recordings.
Wearing a collar right now.
Right.
Thank you very much.
I combed my hair. It doesn't look like I just rolled out of bed. By the time you listen to this or watch this, I believe the FC will be on their way to training down in Clearwater, Florida, which would officially mark so this week, everyone reported back to Mercy Health. We got some player availability updates. We got some comments from Chris Albright. But to me, it really feels like the season begins once, they hit the ground and we start getting some of those videos of people running between cones in a public park in Florida. That's when I truly believe, when I truly hear that FCC is back. I still think our idea of keepers and kids reporting first, that needs to be a thing. We need to adopt that. Sorry, Evan. Sorry, Roman. You're going to have to go down a little early in order to make this happen. Yes. But I'm excited. It does feel real that truly MLS may not be back, but hashtag FC Cincinnati is back.
And not only is FC Cincinnati back, but Chief, maybe the biggest news of this week is that literally everybody is there. There were, I think, 2 excused absences, and the only one that I can think of is Brian Anunga, who was out for personal reasons, was back by the end of the week. So,
right.
Everything is going smoothly on that front. It doesn't appear that anybody is holding out. We still have another month or so, actually a month as of today, as of recording, before the first game kicks off. So anything could happen, but right now it feels like not only is the team that is here going to be here through preseason, but also this is the team. There are no more additions coming into the team this preseason.
I don't agree with that. I've been thinking about this for a minute.
Okay.
So we have what? We're going to talk. There's some additions that got made. We finally found out for real that Brian Ramirez is, hashtag all for Cincy. I don't know if we do that still. But we found out that he, worst kept secret around the team. He'd been in town for a couple of days. I mean, even Albright had a media availability we're going to talk about here in a second where he was openly acknowledging that Brian Ramirez was adding what he would add to the squad. I've never heard him talk so certainly about a player that wasn't already under contract. So yeah. It seems like that was just awaiting some sort of a league, blessing here that everything was all right on it. So they added Brian Ramirez. They added, Tom Barlow is his name as well?
Yes, Tom Barlow from Chicago Fire. At least he was there last time. He was a free agent, but yes.
Yeah. So they have we found out that that Barlow and Kyle Smith are both on supplemental roster spots, which
huge.
Great. Barlow he's depth. He's not somebody that you're going to be relying on to start. He is just a competent body that you can throw out there who has MLS experience, who's not going to embarrass you if you need a striker or you need a rotational piece for some reason during some game. Kyle Smith the same way, a guy that's not going to embarrass you out there, but this is exactly what you're looking for out of the supplemental roster spot. Just guys that can give you competent minutes and that they hit you at that low salary number. But tongue-tied here. We're recording early. It's throwing everything off here.
Yes.
By my math, we still have a senior roster spot available right now, correct?
Yes, if not 2. Let me pull up that number. But yeah, let's assume we have at least 1 open.
We have at least 1 open. I have been saying this entire time that the last thing we are missing on this team is not we need an extra striker, we need an extra wing back, we need an extra box to box. That's not focused on that.
Okay.
What we are truly missing on this team is we are missing the Chris Albright, how did you get this player in here on loan?
Yes.
And I at this point, I think it's enough that you have to say it is a thing that he does yearly. This isn't like this is something he likes to do. No, he does it quite literally every year that he's here. We had in 2023, that was Yerson Mosquera. In 2024, that was Luca Orishano. In 2025, that was Lucas Engel. I absolutely believe that we have one more piece remaining and that it is going to be a loaned player. And I am more certain of that. And this is not based on, there's no insider information here. I've heard chatter that they're looking to add at least to fill out the roster before the season starts. This year in particular makes the most sense to have that sort of player come in. And there is a very specific player profile that I believe that Albright is going to be able to do business in. And if someone wants to try and throw this into, Grok or ChatGPT, I'm sure it can spit out the list of who this player is. But here's the criteria that I would be looking at for who this player is that is going to come in on loan. Okay. It is going to be someone who is playing in a top 5 league in Europe. Okay. Or one of the major teams in South America. But I'm going to say top 5 teams in Europe. It is going to be someone who is a starter on their national team, on a national team that is qualified for the World Cup, but who is not getting regular club minutes right now, or is a deep rotational piece on whatever their club is. Okay. So you are looking for someone who, with the World Cup coming this summer, is going to be relied upon by their national team, and they and their national team are concerned that this player is not getting minutes and will not be ready in terms of physically and in game speed shape for the World Cup. And I would imagine there are a few players like that are out there. I don't have that list in front of me, but there's going to be some players who are going to be very motivated in this window especially. And remember, the MLS window goes a lot longer than the European window does. So especially as you see teams rounding into shape, making winter additions, there is ultimately going to be people who are going to be finding their minutes drop down as they're replaced by better players, by different players, managers changing systems, managers changing in general. There's going to be a pool of players out there, I think, that are going to be looking for those minutes. And I think that Albright can do some business and do some shopping. And I think there's a potential for bringing a player back that punches way above his weight in terms of what you could otherwise get if you were trying to buy a player or if we didn't have a World Cup coming up this cycle.
I think you're spot on. Could I maybe potentially throw an extra, not a requirement, but a little seasoning on top of the search results there?
Hit me with it.
An American. I'd be looking for an American that matches this profile because, one, we have a good understanding that the U.S. men's national team thinks highly of FC Cincinnati and vice versa. FC Cincinnati does seem to like, looking at the U.S. men's national team pool for potential transfer targets. We saw that in 2024 with Sargent and McKinney previously as a target. And I think Major League Soccer is one of the few leagues where an American not starting, suddenly starting and performing well is enough to sort of force the hand of the national team. Whereas, let's say if it's a Dutch player, I don't necessarily think that that's enough to then break into the national team. But right. I do think good performances in MLS could very well be that. And with all of that in mind, Chief, second striker, somebody that we wouldn't need to rely on, but would be pretty good. Little offensive flexibility, would give you some positional change-up as well. Gio Reyna.
I don't hate it because it's just value add, honestly, at this point. Yeah. It's like if Albright thinks the roster is set and he likes what he has, I'm all for bringing any kind of talent in that's just on that like value add location. This is not going to be someone who you're committing a designated player spot to. This is someone who, you're just looking to bring them in at a with a mechanism that allows a better talent than you could otherwise afford to be present on that team. So if you want to try and make this list, I think it expands when you talk about Americans, because with Americans, you do raise the possibility that someone can play their way into a starting spot or play their way into a World Cup spot. But I do think that there's just, if you just look at players who they already are locked on in their national team, but just not playing for their club team because they're at one of the bigger clubs or in one of the bigger leagues, I think you can even refine this as well, is eliminate, if you're looking at the big leagues, eliminate Italians from Italy, English people from England, Spaniards from La Liga, Germans from the Bundesliga, because obviously they're going to want to stay closer to where their national teams are training. But if you're already from someplace else where you're going to have to travel back to your national team, you may as well get over to America right now ahead of the World Cup, get acclimated to the weather, get acclimated to the schedule, and get your minutes over here. Fly back for your international breaks to train with your national team. But when they come over here, you're already here and you're already ahead of the game. So I think this is going to happen. I base this on absolutely nothing other than it makes too much sense, given Albright's history and given the opportunity that we have right now.
Yeah. I did look it up. I was just seeing, like, could I remember or just not remember? Did we loan in anybody in 2022? We did not. There were no loans in 2022.
Right.
So that first year, which is fine. 2 people were loaned out, and they're very funny names. They were Ben Mines, who was fun, and Isaac Atanga was the other name. So,
U22, I believe,
out.
Right?
Yeah, a U22 with a $4 million transfer fee, Isaac Atanga.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
No. He seemed like a nice kid.
He seemed fine. Just not
wasn't
gonna
his
work.
level.
Not going to work here, unfortunately. So I do think we're not done yet. Maybe we will be. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe this will be just another dumb take brought to you by the Postcast. But I'm going to keep hope alive here, and I'm going to say that we have one more opportunity to bring in a player who is not just a depth piece, but someone that might actually come in here and displace someone from the starting rotation that we have in our minds as to how we are going to play. Kevin, what did you make of Chris Albright's media appearance? He appeared and did about 15, 20 minutes in front of the local scribes, and sort of as a kickoff thing, he had just talked to the media for his season end wrap in December. Anything interesting or stand out to you about Albright's appearance this week?
I mean, it's funny because it felt like we talked about Chris Albright's comments as sort of like one of the last things before the team went on break, and now we get to sort of bookend it. And I think it's interesting to look at the two of them and sort of see what has happened in the month or so since he or in between these two press conferences. And I liked this, so I'm going to take the quote from Carter. And it was when we talked about the refresh, talking about refreshing the tactics and the offensive scheme, it's strategic, it's staffing, how we train. So we've thought about a lot of things this offseason to try to maximize the group to be able to win. I like that they are reassessing their priors, to put words in his mouth, about how they got here and how they can get better. Because I do think, I think fairly, a lot of fans are like, throw it all out, blow it up, let's restart
blow it up.
it.
We're done. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, wins to losses, they've been incredibly successful so far. Last year showed some real flaws with that system. I appreciate the language of a refresh, a strategic refresh. Talks about bringing in a set piece coach. We'll talk to him in a moment. Other coaches.
Right.
Yeah.
Timely.
I think it's very positive as my overall takeaway here. How about you, though? What was your vibe on this?
I think that the refresh thing obviously stands out because it's been the word of the offseason, the refresh or the retooling of what it is this club is doing. And, after speaking to Brett Uttley in the interview here in segment 2 that everyone's going to be able to hear, I'm more confident now that that what they decided to do was we're going to go acquire an offensive tactics. And I mean this in the most loving sense because I loved Brett. I loved the interview. He's a tactics nerd. And he is one of these people that what reminds me of what I think it would be like to talk NFL ball with like a Sean McVay, where, he's there. He is constantly thinking about what can we do to do things better tactically? What can we do to break other teams down? What are other teams using successfully that we can implement into our training regimen? So, yeah, from that standpoint, I do agree that they brought a new voice in for a specific purpose, and I like the fact that they appear to be going all in on this idea that we're counting on the fact that we can do processes better with the talent that we have, which they have to say to a certain extent, because just there's not a lot of wiggle room to bring a ton of new faces in right now. But again, this is a roster that if you went back in time a year, that most pundits were saying this is one of the most talented rosters that's been assembled in the league. And now, of course, we have what Miami seems to be able to do at the drop of a hat. Yeah, sure, we'll add Bertarame to a team. Why not?
Why not?
All crime is legal. Didn't you hear the horn? But as it stands, you have to, if you believe that the talent level on this team is good, and many very smart people do, then if it's not achieving, the best way to fix that is let's think about differently about how we deploy that. For me, the other interesting takeaway from this was they was asked specifically about the striker room and how he felt with that. It's been a topic of concern, I think, for fans, for a lot of us, ever since the team wasn't able to bring Brenner back on loan from Udinese. And Brenner eventually gets sold to Vasco da Gama. Good for him. Best of luck. Legitimately best of luck to him now after how that ended last year. But Albright said straight out that they view Ayoub Jabari as a starting level player in MLS, that they would be comfortable with Ayoub Jabari going down and beginning the season as the number 2 striker. That's odd to me because we saw a little bit of Ayoub last year. There were parts that I thought were good. Obviously we all talk about, his control to assist on the goal that beats the Crew. But I don't know, man. Like, he's a 25-year-old who really wasn't scoring in League Two. And on paper, you just look at the situation and nothing about him screams, I am MLS starting quality. He seems like, I love Ayoub as a depth piece. I love him as a rotational piece. I don't know that I want to see particularly 70 minutes of Ayoub Jabari per match.
I mean, he wasn't really deployed as a starter last year, and I understand Brenner being here changes that equation, but I don't know. For somebody that was going to be given the reins this year, I would have thought he would have gotten a little more run out than he did.
Well, Albright said in the press conference that they were intending on Ayoub Jabari being the starter last year until Brenner fell into their laps at the 11th hour. They were ready to throw him out there and to try and go win Supporters' Shield. They were only, a point off, if that? They might have been leading or close to leading at the time that if they were off, they were only a point or two off at the time the window closed last year. That's wild to me.
Yeah, and fair play. I mean, so far, Albright and company have more hits than misses, and I'm not scouting the French second division. So
nobody is.
I don't really, but I don't really have a leg to stand on here. But just the general profile feels like something you ought to be able to improve upon. But if that's the way they feel, then so be it. I will say, given where this team finished last year, which was losing to the eventual champions in MLS Cup playoffs, finishing a point outside of the Shield race, having not great success in CONCACAF Champions League, but understanding the team that started that competition isn't remotely close to the team that finished the year, I am willing to say that if FC Cincinnati can make a 10 or 15% increase in production, in goodness, whatever you want to say, if they could just increase their level 10, 15%, there's no reason to think this shouldn't be a top 3 team in MLS, and they have everything to play for. Yeah. And if that's with Jabari or not, so be it. I just look at the clubs that if you want to be a top team in MLS right now, and you look at who those top teams are,
I don't know that I love going to battle with who are your top goal scoring threats. Our top goal scoring threats are Evander, great. Kevin Denke, I think I'm lower on him than some people are, but even I think he's probably a well above average MLS striker. And then the fall off from there gets pretty significant when a lot of the teams you're going up against have at least a third good option. Maybe not great, but a good option for goal scoring. Maybe that's Brian Ramirez. I don't know how he's going to be deployed. I don't know how he's going to fit in. There's so much about this team we don't know, and it's kind of why I'm eager to start seeing them playing preseason games, because if you're bringing in new tactical approaches, it's like, okay, is the new tactical approach going to be playing this same way that Noonan and Dominic Kinnear and the old staff wanted to play last year, where we want this big, like Kai Kamara or Ayub Jabari body to play hold up so that we can offload to Kevin Denke? Or, at times last year, we had the dreaded sword formation that we all hated. Does the new tactical approach look at that and say, okay, that's a workable formation if we improve the patterns of play with it? And then all of a sudden you're looking at maybe a dueling 10 setup with Evander playing as almost like a more forward type 10, and then your boy Dado Valenzuela is on the field playing the more traditional 10, the attacking mid. I don't know. But we won't know that until we see, what does the first starting lineup look like and how do they evolve as they go through and play through the preseason, which I'm excited for. I kind of want to see.
Yeah, and they talked about, or Albright talked about, looking at formations and coming up with different formations, different looks for the team to have. I think that's going to be important. Like, we talked about this plenty last year, is that the team just got predictable. And if a team figured it out or figured us out, there wasn't another option to go with, or there wasn't even the threat of FC Cincinnati deploying a different look going into a game. Like, you couldn't force them to prepare for two possibilities.
Right.
The other team knew what they were going up against. And so having just another thing, and sword formation or not, it was still essentially a back three, attacking wing backs, two defensive midfielders, and then some mishmash up top on the attack. I would like to see something a little different. I'd like to see a version of this where Obi and Guidi and Buka are all on the field together. Whatever formation you have to have that has that could be neat. That could be fun. Yeah. Or what does it look like to have Denke with two wingers on either side? Let's try some things out here.
Yeah, but it did seem like Albright threw a little bit of cold water on a formation change when, I think in response to one of the questions, it was basically what we are looking to do is we're a team that's built to play a back three and wing backs. I hate that, but, It is what it is. What he said, what we're looking to do a little more of is to have the ability to, in a game situation based on game state, do things differently within the game. But I if they're going to move away from this system, I think it's going to be when Pat Noonan gets fired or something radically changes in the roster build. But I think if you were like me and you were sick of hearing the word wingback and want the word ejected into the sun at light speed, then we're going to be out of luck for a little while longer. I'm admitting this. I've been black-pilled on this. I have watched this team be ineffective playing wingbacks for now about 2 years consecutively. That I am to the point now where I have been convinced that I don't believe this formation can ever work anywhere for any team. I think if you gave us an unlimited Premier League budget, I still think it would produce boring soccer. I just hate it as a concept. Give me another midfielder. I'm done. I am done with we have to worry about the width. I don't care about the width. Talk about the middle. The goal's in the middle. Put more people in the middle.
Well, we'll see what shakes out with this preseason. We won't see it. We'll read about it.
We'll hear about it.
Yeah.
There will be no stream. We'll take their word for it that it's going well.
But a couple of other notes. You mentioned Brian Ramirez is official. That's great. I've been just sort of assuming he's been on the team for a month now. So that is good. Paul Walters going out on loan to Bohemians, was it, in
Yes,
League of
Bohemians
Ireland?
in the Irish Premier League, playing in Dublin. And look, my first reaction to this, honestly, it has nothing to do with soccer whatsoever, but just that Paul Walters is 21 years old.
Yeah.
And he's being sent. It's like, all right, hey, kid, you come in. The GM wants to see you. It's like, all right, have a seat. You know, we love what you're doing here, but just it doesn't do you any good to sit and watch Roman play or watch Evan play. You need to be out there and you need to be playing more regularly. I know this is tough for you, and we're really asking you to consider this. Would you consider, as a 21-year-old American man, going over and living in Dublin for a year and playing soccer in the Irish Premier League? Like, I would be out the door so fast. There would be one of those like Wile E. Coyote outlines in the door where I didn't even bother opening it. Like, but you tell me you're going to pay me to go play soccer in Dublin and go live there and just, pound Guinnesses and play football? Hell yeah. That sounds...
Yeah.
For me, that was like, oh, you want me to study abroad for a semester? Yeah, I'll take a class or two. Sure, why not?
Yeah, right. Like, oh, and you're getting paid for it. And it will, assuming it doesn't go horrifically wrong, will improve your career. Like,
right.
There are no downsides here.
Right. Right. Like, Paul Walters is going to be coming back. Like, there's just going to be photos of him as the tannest person in a pub with, like, 4 redheads under each arm saying, like, yes, I do have a contract in an American soccer league. Why do you ask? Another round of Jameson for the boys. Let's do this. I've got MLS money.
So congrats to him. Hell of a move. Hopefully it all pans out. We'll be keeping tabs on that.
We got to ask Evan, though. We need to ask Evan. We need to make sure that when Paul comes back, like, does he pull the move where, I picked up a little bit of an accent when I was over there. That, like, all your friends that spent like a semester abroad, like, I picked up a little bit of the accent and start signing your emails, cheers and shit like that.
Yes, he's going to refer to all of his teammates as lads and mates.
Lads, mate.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, I think I wish that there was an unlimited content budget for FC Cincinnati, because the first thing I would do is I would want to send Carter Chapley over there and just, like, chronicle a week in the life of a 21-year-old American on loan playing soccer in Dublin, Ireland. I would produce a reality show about this. I would produce content about this. This would be like glued Stranger Things like level to the television of what is Paul Walters up to this week over in Ireland. Like, that would be like on Apple TV. Love that. The second thing I would do if I had an unlimited content budget is I would pay on an off weekend to fly Evan and Roman over to watch one of his games and to get tickets like right behind the goal and be shouting things to him during the course. And then, like, Paul has to show them around Dublin for a night, and they all just roll around Dublin, seeing where the night takes them. I would, again, appointment television, like when that, like, 45 minutes or an hour special drops.
I really want the House Hunters International Edition for him, looking for just like the cheapest, crappiest apartments.
No, we get coach turned real estate agent turns coach Mitch Hildebrandt, or I think trying to think who else. Like, there's like half the team.
Sem DeWitt, right?
Sem DeWitt does that. Yeah.
Yes.
There's like half the old
so
FC
good.
cast. They all became real estate agents. Someone can go over there and can, like, show him properties around Dublin, like, make his choice. Like, Paul is a 21-year-old goalkeeper in MLS on a homegrown deal. His budget is $90,000 per year.
Wait, the is it Scripps Howard? The production company's in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
like they can get him on actual House Hunters.
House Hunters MLS edition. Paul Walters over in Ireland, where it's like, what are you looking
would
for?
Be so fun.
What are you looking for? What are your must-haves in an apartment? Well, I got to be able to walk to a bar immediately. I need to be close enough I can bike to the stadium for training. It'd be really nice if I had a top floor view of, the Irish Hills. Why not? This would be great. I would watch the ever living shit out of this.
Like, especially like as a part of like the free agency, because it's like big news when like Christian Espinoza is moving to Nashville. Yeah, I want to know, like, how does he relocate? That sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Fascinating. I think that there should be more opportunities over the course of the MLS Apple TV deal. That show me these things. Show me the exploits of a young Cincinnatian out sowing his wild goalkeeper oats in the hills and countryside of the Emerald Isle.
Yes. Chief, was there any other news? We mentioned Barlow and Fletcher were both supplemental roster spots. So looking at my list,
as was Kyle Smith, I believe.
Yes, and Kyle Smith. So I think we actually need one more senior roster position to fill out our roster. Otherwise, we have like 3 or 4 openings. I don't usually fill all of that up, given how everything else shakes out. But MLS does not require, you have to have 18 on the roster or else you get fined for every opening that you have there. So it kind of makes sense to just put somebody there. With Walters going overseas, we are now down to 2 goalkeepers on the senior roster. I don't know that any of the academy kids are ready to be that number 3. So maybe keep an eye out for a very cheap goalkeeping backup option. Maybe I would look at maybe an older guy, somebody who's been in the league for a while, who's maybe flirting with retirement, feels like the kind of candidate that you'd be looking to bring in here. So
or the other option. The other option would be someone who's a recent college grad who wasn't necessarily a super draft pick, where you can just someone that can bounce between FCC 2 and the main roster, so to speak. But I mean, honestly, something has gone so horribly awry. If you need to dip down to your third goalkeeper, that I'm not worried about it.
No, I'm not worried about it. It's just you end up with like, Roman has like muscle tightness, isn't going to go this game. Evan starts. I've got no problem with that. I say, like, who's the next guy up? And I really don't want that next guy up to be like Nick Haglund.
Yeah.
So
it's again, I've said this before. We need to normalize the concept of the e-bug, the emergency backup goalkeeper, like they have in hockey, where it's just somebody that's a team employee comes down, puts gloves on, and he's the third string backup for both teams.
I mean, is it our goalkeeping coach? Is it Paul Rogers? Is he our third string keeper? Yeah.
No, I would want it to be like, like Kevin McCloskey or like John Horlander or something like that, like an actual team employee that has to come down and do it.
I love this. Yes, absolutely. No, hey, whoa, we've got a couple of former pros on the team roster.
Oh, Austin Berry.
Austin
Strength
Berry,
and conditioning.
Omar Cummings, Jimmy McLaughlin. I think they're doing game day work. Like they're out there.
It feels unfair if they were actually like a former player.
Okay,
like I think it's got to be someone who it's like the highest level they played in was high school, or like maybe a little bit of college or something like that. Or they've got to be like so far past their prime that it's like, come on, man, like this might be elder abuse to throw this guy in.
You know what could be fun is having whoever the Cyclones keeper is, like goaltender, to have that person in the stadium. So it's like not a soccer player, but I'm gonna bring in some of the instincts. Yeah,
right. It's like, where are my pads? It's like, oh man, sorry.
Ooh. You get these 2 tiny little flimsy pieces of plastic for your legs.
But the gloves are really big. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes out there with like 2 mitts.
Yeah. Well, that's the wrap here on FC Cincinnati, I think. Kevin, anything else? We'll look forward to hoping everybody gets down to Florida all right, and I guess you will wait and see on additional players, and we'll wait and see if any of these contracts that we think are going to get negotiated or extensions are going to get signed. I would be looking for potential extensions on Matt Miazga. I would be looking for a potential extension on Teenage Hadebe that changes the money that he's around on. The other person I wouldn't be surprised to see an extension of some sort on would be Evan Loro, just to extend team control over him for another year if he's going to be your backup keeper. But that's really what we're looking at right now. Anyone coming in, and are they going to start rearranging roster status in order to make more room or to create more money to do something with?
Yeah. Yeah, the team, I mean, it feels, I know, like the general vibe is that like the team can't do anything else. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that there's enough, if I could borrow a phrase from Andrew Wiebe, I think there's enough creative and ambitious levers that they could pull to bring in one or two more impact players, not DP, but somebody that could conceivably start for this team. It's an option out there. I don't necessarily think that the team needs to, and I know the team doesn't think they need to. So there's that.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Now, Chief, we were lucky enough to be able to talk to Brett Uttley, who I'm so happy that he is on. I will have to say, I have to consciously think about not saying Chase Utley every time I say his name, and I feel really bad about that. So if I ever screw that up, just know I've been trying this whole time not to. But Brett Uttley, he is the newest. Please.
You still don't know how to say Evan's last name after he's been on the show for a while. So this is just par for the course right here.
We got Chase Utley and Evan Laureau on the team, and it's great. Yeah. No, Brett Uttley, he comes over from Austin FC2. He has a long career in and around Major League Soccer, played as well himself. No, as Chief alluded to before, a tactics nerd when it comes to this stuff. Somebody that is bringing a fresh set of eyes to this team and this backroom staff that has been established since 2022. Very excited to have him on the team, and we got the opportunity to get to know him a little bit, kind of ask a couple of simple, basic questions, try to figure out where he's at with it. We go a little deep on some philosophy stuff on it too. I think it's a good conversation. I think people are really going to enjoy this. Joining us here on the postcast, an incredibly special guest. We are so happy to have him here because we know a lot of people have a lot of questions. We are joined by FC Cincinnati's newest member of the coaching staff, Mr. Brett Uttley. Brett, how you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It's great to be here and really excited to be here in Cincinnati.
And I gotta start off by asking you. So you've been in Cincinnati for a little while. Outside today, as we're recording, it's 20 degrees. Do you regret the decision to leave Texas and come to Ohio right now?
This actually gets me back to my roots. So back being from Rhode Island, I grew up in the cold, so I got soft a little bit over the years being in Texas and South Florida. So it's nice to have some seasons again.
Do I have it right? You played abroad in Sweden. Are we leaning on that experience at all on a week like this?
Yeah, I was there for right when I finished college. It was certainly a shorter period of time, but it was freezing when I got over there, and it was a really nice experience.
So I'm always curious. Like, lots of people play soccer. Plenty of people even play professionally. Collegiate soccer, things like that. What motivated you to pursue coaching after playing? I'm always interested in sort of that pipeline.
Yeah, I would say, when I look back on my career as a player, growing up, I certainly loved the game, loved the sport, grew up playing from when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I would say a big moment in my life was when I tore my ACL for a second time. I just finished, so I did my first time when I was a senior in high school, then again after about like the 7th or 8th game as a sophomore in college, so about 18, 19 months. And that was really the first time. The second time when I tore my ACL, I was like, you know what, I got to really start thinking about, what am I going to do if I'm not a player, just due to health. And growing up, certainly Boston sports and, Bill Belichick was always on the TV on Monday morning, listening to those press conferences. And, that was when Phil Jackson, was having certainly a heavy influence in terms of the world of basketball. So, I knew coaching was something that I really wanted to get involved with. And, I'm a student of the game. I love to help people. And it was certainly a great way that I can really express myself as a person.
Yeah. I noticed as well, looking at your resume, USSF A license, UEFA A license, Elite Youth A license. Can you explain to a simpleton like myself the licensing system and why having licenses from multiple different continents. What is that advantage here? I am genuinely like ignorant of this aspect of coaching.
Yeah, I suppose it's unique to the sport of soccer, but there's governing bodies, and in order to coach at certain levels, you have to have certain licenses. And I think the great thing about the sport is it's a global game, so every country views the game from a slightly different lens. So, doing my licenses in Wales, for example, I was exposed to a lot of different methodologies and ways of thinking about the game coming from Europe. And also, I just most recently finished my A license here with the U.S. So getting the mixture of both perspectives. And also, when you're going on these licenses, you're with people from all over the world. So yeah, obviously the content is certainly important. You have to hit certain criteria, but when you can share the space with people that have a lot of different experiences from yourself, that's like really where the richness comes from, and it makes the experience so much more enjoyable as well.
So from a standpoint of, you played, obviously, what was the biggest thing that surprised you about coaching from the coaching side that you might not have seen the coaches doing when you were a player? And you obviously knew more than all of your coaches back then.
Yeah, I would say so much more goes into it. As a player, you always think about yourself, from a health perspective and how to get yourself ready for the training. And if you're not getting as many minutes as you want, you're always kind of looking in the opposite direction, and you always want to try to look inward first and foremost. But as a player, that can be challenging. And then when I really started my coaching career, you realize how much preparation goes into a 90-minute session, a 60-minute session, how to prepare a game. You just think, as a player, the coaches must arrive at the same time you do, and they have shortened days, and it's really the opposite, because as a coach, you have to think about the collective always. One decision for one player can certainly impact another player in a different way. So, I certainly pride myself on having a lot of empathy for everybody in that sense, and how you make decisions for the collective while also respecting the individuality of the players, I would say is the biggest challenge. But also when you can get it right and the players feel that you respect their individuality, that's when I think the group can really, start to be really cohesive.
You've had the experience now of coaching. You've even had success now with Austin winning MLS Next Pro a couple of years ago. So congratulations on that. I guess like my pressing question for a sideline manager is, in all these games at all levels, I see managers screaming and yelling at the players. In your heart of heart, do you think they can hear you, and do you expect them to follow a shouted command across the field?
Yeah, I think we all would like to think that they can. I would say, fortunately, at the next pro level, the crowds are certainly different from the MLS. So I think some more of my players probably heard me. Probably they might have heard me more than they would have liked to. But I think, the reality is that we're all emotional. We're all competitive. We all are striving towards the same direction. So a lot of times it comes from that place. And, I remember, watching back some of the games, when I was with Austin, and I'm basically running up and down the sideline sometimes wanting to participate in the game, because you're so invested in, not from a micromanaging perspective, but you're just, everyone's invested in trying to pull in the same direction. So that's the fun part. And then you're quickly reminded that you're no longer playing and you're on the sideline, and your influence is only so much.
Do you ever have a moment where the fourth official looks over at you and says, "Hey, man, calm down.
Oh, yeah.
They're just kids"?
Yeah. You could see on some of the video clips, you could see me moving down the sideline, and the fourth official is kind of moving to try to pull me back in, and I apologize ahead of time, and or after the fact, I should say. I'm probably good. I was good for a couple of those per game, but it comes from more of an excitement and connection with the group.
With regard to Austin too, and starting and coaching with them and having success with them, and now moving back away and back to the senior division, so to speak. Yeah. What is the biggest jump in terms, or what's the biggest difference between managing at a 2-side and coaching at a 2-side, and then being involved in a senior team like you had been in the past and like you are again right now?
Yeah, I would say, from in the second team, we always tried balancing this duality between being competitive and, let's say, competitive winning plus development. And I would say on the first team side, it's those dualities are the same, but there's certainly, let's say, more of an emphasis on the winning component. Sometimes from the perspective that, we really wanted to respect a certain style of play with the second team, because if we were playing in a way that wasn't necessarily aligned with the first team, well, when they moved from our space to the first team, they weren't going to be fully fluid and connected and understanding of what's being demanded of them. At the first team level, yeah, we certainly have a style of play and things that we want to respect, but at the same time, sometimes games demands different things, and you have to be a bit more adaptable. And player availability is certainly a difference as well. So yeah, just that extra bit of responsibility in terms of results, I think is just, it comes with the territory being with the first team. And I think at the end of the day, regardless of the level, we're all participating in the sport because we're competitive and we want to win. I don't care if you're coaching and playing at the U12 level all the way to the highest of levels. We all want to be, competing and winning and being part of a group. So those are the foundational elements that I think all of us probably got started with from the sport at an early age anyways.
Did anyone at the MLS Dex Pro team for Austin ever call you dad, like sometimes happens in school when you call the teacher mom by mistake?
Yeah, I mean, we had a tight knit group. We had players from all over the world. Their stories. Some of the players that we had, man, their stories were so incredible. And sometimes I get goosebumps just thinking about it in terms of some of the barriers and different things that some of these players overcame and what brought us all together. And it's a time that I look back really proudly, and also from an element of the connections and the relationships that you form with these young athletes. We had guys anywhere from the ages of probably 15 to 23. So that's a wide spectrum of life experience at that moment in time. And you have to show up in a variety of different ways. And sometimes you are a dad, sometimes you're a friend, sometimes you're the big brother, sometimes you take on many different hats, and you have to understand and have the sensibility to manage those situations accordingly.
Yeah. When you walk into the FC Cincinnati training center, this past week, the players start showing up, they start reporting. Were there any familiar faces players wise? I can assume maybe who you might have overlapped with, but had you crossed paths with some of these guys beforehand?
Yeah, the one that certainly comes to mind is Alvis Powell. We were together with Inter Miami and during the 2020 season. So it was nice to see him again after, X amount of years apart. But, everyone, has been so welcoming and generous. And, once we started on the field, that's when the real emotion starts, and you really start to form more relationships and connections with, certainly the players and the staff. Once you get on the field and, you're doing exercises together and you're helping them and you're asking them questions and they're asking you questions. For me, that's the best time to certainly develop those relationships more in depthly.
And so with regard to coming to FC Cincinnati, obviously tremendously successful at the youth level, what was it that attracted you to the opportunity here at FC Cincinnati and to join Pat Noonan's staff here on what has been a very successful MLS club during the tenure of Pat Noonan and Chris Albright?
Yeah, I think there's multiple factors that really gets me excited about this opportunity. First and foremost, the ambition of the club, especially from what the club was able to achieve over the last couple of years, as you mentioned, and to be a part of that and really learn. I'm a young coach, and have this opportunity for myself is incredible. Just to be a sponge and absorb and learn, and at the same time, contribute. I think between Pat and Chris, there's a lot of ambition from the competitive side and what the team wants to achieve moving forward, and to utilize some of the experiences that I've gained and my I'm a student of the game, so the knowledge that I've acquired over the years and try to apply it. Certainly the puzzle pieces always change when you change the players, and really trying to understand the player qualities and the relationships that we can try to optimize on the field is certainly an exciting one when you look at the roster and the offensive aggression that I think can exist within the team. And, even from the defensive side, the team's so aggressive to go man-to-man when pressing high. And, those types of attributes and characteristics of teams are something that I really love. And then also from the fan base, when you're watching games from TQL on TV, and I was here once, I believe, when I was with Inter Miami, and you could just feel, the support of the team. It makes the home environment really, really special, and to have that as a young coach is really, really exciting.
Yeah. Now, when when you're looking at this, I want to get a little philosophical with you.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to apply this to FC Cincinnati, but I will use them as an example. This past year, FC Cincinnati fans had this sort of internal debate where it felt like at times the team didn't pass what we'd call the eye test. Maybe some of the statistics you could go look up on a website didn't paint the prettiest picture of the team, and yet they were second in the Supporter Shield race, and they had virtually every result, barring, one or two, to get the Supporter Shield that you could have asked for. How do you, as a coach, sort of wrestle with that idea of like sticking to like a pattern of play that is maybe aesthetically pleasing or is generating the correct statistics versus just getting the results, like whatever is going to get 3 points on the board? How do you see that sort of playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask anyone, a player or a coach, if you could have the decision between winning or losing, you're always going to pick winning. So I think that's first and foremost. But also, as coaches, we have ideas and styles that we feel deep down in our essence, and then at the same time, you have players that they also have those feelings and connections. So. When you look at the roster from last year, there was certainly at the midpoint in the season, some changes happened within the roster, which is pretty normal within MLS. So, at the end of the day, the players, those relationships, they take time to form. And that's what's really exciting right now, certainly being in the environment and starting preseason with almost a full roster from what I'm hearing is, not necessarily hasn't been the case over the last couple of years, at least from the beginning part of the season. So to be on the field with, most of the guys is really exciting, even just from my perspective to get to know them and build relationships with them as well. So, that I think the game is so complex when you're trying to have 11 players organize themselves constantly up against another 11 players. It's never going to be easy, and it's never going to be. I always say 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in this sport, just because of how many variables are at play. But I'm always going to choose winning over anything else. That's for sure.
You can use this. This was a line from a failed rapper who my friend went to college with, who recorded a rap album instead of studying for the bar exam and then failed it. The line is 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2; it equals 11. So.
I like that. I'm going to have to save that one.
You said failed rapper? Hang on. That doesn't...
Hang on, right? Shout out Matt Duke. So Kevin mentioned you being a student of the game. And in doing some prep work for this interview, I discovered a blog that you were writing for a while on tactics with, I believe it was a company that you had founded or an organization that you had founded. And I came across a quote that you had given in a previous interview. I'm just going to read it here because I think it's awesome. For me, it's because tactics give the key to players to anticipate the game, read the game, and ultimately make decisions to solve problems in the match. And on your work that I read, an immense amount of film grinding seemed to have been occurring with the great teams from around the world, around Europe, some Man City, some Arsenal, some Liverpool. How much film do you watch of soccer on a daily basis?
Yeah, you could say I have a problem with that. I have a hard drive full of games throughout all the years, and I love learning from a variety of different coaches. I would say that's the biggest thing. I support. I love watching Barcelona. I love watching Man City. When I studied over in Spain, that had a massive influence on me when I was starting my coaching career. But the game is interpreted in so many different ways. Different cultures. That has a massive influence on how different teams are going to play as well. I probably have too many games, but sometimes those are the best ways to learn and try to anticipate and understand why a coach made a certain decision or utilize a certain tactic. And then it's not necessarily, a copy and paste. It's understanding the full context of why they made those decisions as best as you can, knowing that you're from the 10,000 foot perspective. And then trying to understand if that could potentially apply to the group of players that you have in front of you, knowing that all their qualities are totally different. So, but I love doing that because it's a great way to get better.
Can you just watch a match, or are you always watching it from the point of view of, I wouldn't have made that decision, or, that's a decision that I can take and I can learn from that with my team that I'm on?
Yeah, I try to, but it's so difficult. I really have to be intentional. I love, waking up on the weekend and watching matches in the morning, and with a cup of coffee or something, and trying to switch off. But it's almost impossible because I might see an action that I really like and say I need to download that game so I can clip that action so I can add it to a library. So it's certainly, it comes with the territory of who I am, I guess.
If you just heard a rush of air, it's everyone that's going to be listening to this interview fist bumping in the car or in their workout or whatever.
Totally.
So then, with that in mind, do you have, a particular, like ideal team? Like if you could, let's put you in charge of a team from the ground up, you'd say, we want to be, 1998 Manchester United. We want to be 2009 Barcelona. Like, who would you want to be in the abstract?
Ooh, the team that had I would say the biggest impact on me, the team that I loved, was the 2010, 2011 Barcelona team when they won the Champions League. I believe it was 3-1 against Man United. I mean, those teams of Pep were unbelievable, and it was almost was something. Yeah, it was like out of a movie how well they played as a group. So yeah, that team is one that left a lasting impact. That's for sure.
So you've been really generous with your time today, and believe me, we want you to get back in the lab and get cooking. Nothing would bring us more joy. We are profoundly wasting your time right now, and I recognize that. As of sort of summation, so we going into 2026, you guys are about to head down to Florida for training camp and get the season started. What is your hope of what you're going to be able to bring to the staff and to the team this year for FC Cincinnati?
Yeah, one of the main topics of conversation between Chris, Pat, and myself has just been a lot of ideas in relation to the attack, and how can we be a bit more aggressive to arrive in the box with good numbers and good situations to score more goals. And I view the game very much from a collective perspective. So it's not just what's happening on the final end product, but how we arrive from those situations and what does it mean for the center backs? What does it mean for the midfielders? Because the game, it's not just, you like to arrive in one or two passes and score a goal. I think any coach would probably want that. But how can you, be really intentional in how to bring the ball to certain spaces? So then it's difficult, obviously, for the opponent to defend it. And also you can arrive with really good opportunities to not just necessarily just to finish the first ball, but finish the second ball potentially off a rebound. So yeah, those are going to be, constant conversations, I suppose, throughout the course of the year. But, when I think about the training camp, it just continues to be about building relationships with the staff and the players, and, having the opportunity to be down in Clearwater and, a bit more secluded, and the group's going to be, so connected during that time period, I would imagine. So it's a great time for me just to acclimate, keep learning about, the culture of the club and how everything's being done. And then, continuing to offer, any suggestions that I potentially see along the way. But for me, that's the biggest part, is just to get acclimated within the group, between the players and the staff, and go step by step.
Oh, well, Brett, we wish you all the best of luck this season. We will certainly be rooting for you and your hard work out there on the field. Best of luck this season, and we look forward to it.
Great. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Great to meet you, and really happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and we are back. And again, a huge thank you to Brett for being able to join us. It was a lot of fun. Chief, second member of the coaching staff that has joined the postcast.
Many people noting that Pat Noonan ducking us at this point.
I'm trying to think. So the last time we had a member of the coaching staff on was 2023. And I can't remember if anything good happened to the team.
That's way too far back.
They won a trophy. They won a shield.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like a postcast bump to the performance when the coaching staff comes on.
I like where your head's at here. Like this. This is good.
2024. 2026 could be fun.
Could be fun. I liked Brett. I said it in the first segment. I enjoyed the conversation. I think that what I needed to hear from him to feel better about going into 2026 is I heard that we're looking at a lot of different things, and this is just for a team that had become very predictable in terms of what they looked like on the field and how other teams were defending them, I'm now very curious to see what's going on. And the other thing, too, is, not for nothing, the vibe, his vibe. Hey, guys, I saw you at the bar. I really liked your vibe over there. No, it's just, didn't he feel like the kind of personality that, you would see meshing well over drinks and talking ball with Kenny and what we know about Pat?
Absolutely. Like, that is, he does feel like a good cultural fit with the team. There was another thing too about him when he talked about like seeing something, like not being able to turn off the coaching brain when watching a match, and then like immediately making a note to go and save that and look at that later. That to me tells me that he is not somebody who has a vision for what he wants, and it is his goal to implement that vision come hell or high water. Yep. It has to stick to this game plan. This is a curious person, somebody who does seem to be willing and able to learn and take in new ideas and incorporate them into a sort of existing framework. I think that is brilliant and definitely something that this team needs. I mean, I'd say every team needs, but I think a team looking for a refresh needs a person with this mindset.
I agree. And I like the fact that he thinks about this stuff as much as we do, which makes me very, very happy about that. So, Kevin, with him added in, does this mean we have to start interviewing more members of the team again? Do we have to start putting in more asks for people, setting up more interviews?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think that's the next step there. And it's like I feel like we don't say it enough. Blown away by the support on Patreon. Like, that has been incredible. More to come on that front. Very excited about where that money is going to go with this. So, little things like this are nice. I like this, but I think we got more coming. So
definitely. Big question: are we restarting the World's Gam this week, Kevin? I think it's time.
Is Grayson back? I think we could restart the World's Gam. I think we restart the World's Gam this week. I will commit to that. That is not a problem.
Should I reach out to Andrew Wiebe and say, for the first episode back, first off, how dare you, and second off, defend yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I think he would be a lot of fun to have on this. So you've caused some waves. You defend your thesis here.
Right. First question: how much of this do you believe, and how much of this is just for your enjoyment to watch all of us puppets dance the second you start defending the great Satan in South Florida?
Oh, God, it's going to be good. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Either that or, Chief, your best friend, Taylor Twellman. I mean...
Man, can't stay out of my mentions.
If he's not coming on the podcast, I think you two need to grab dinner, all right? If he's not coming on the podcast, so...
No, if you guys on the postcast side have ideas for what you want to hear on the World's Gam this year, we're sketching some stuff out. We would like to do, I think, more national guests on that one, some more reporters, more elevating some voices of people that are covering the local teams for some of the various outlets that are, not like us. We don't do shit, but like, more of the Cincy soccer talks of other cities, the beat reporters who are covering the teams on other cities, which is a rapidly dying breed, unfortunately, as you hear more and more cities dropping their MLS coverage and more newspapers dropping their soccer coverage. So anything we can do to elevate that. I still at some point want to get some former players on just to talk about what life was like in MLS 1.0. So that's kind of a long-term stretch goal, like find out. And I'm desperate still to do the episode where tell me what it was like in the front office the day the Miami Fusion shut down, like when word came down on that. Because I think in our lifetimes, I got to think about this. Like, teams don't fold in big sports leagues anymore. Like, what was the last time a team just folded in one of the major American sports leagues? I think it was most recently MLS. You have teams that move, obviously. So, like, you have like the Montreal Expos move to DC to become the Nationals, or the Rams moved to LA, the Chargers moved to LA. But I can't remember the last time a team just outright folded, where it's just like, we're done. I think it was the Mutiny and the Fusion.
Would hockey? Did hockey go through a contraction period?
They talked about it. I don't remember if they did.
What moved or not? You had the Thrashers and the Jets, but those have all just
moved.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever leave. I mean, I don't think that the team just goes away and the league gets smaller. I don't think that ever happened. Baseball talked about it forever. We got to go through contraction because the player pool is too big. There's not enough players to go around. But I genuinely think that it might be Miami and Tampa originally from MLS. Or no, Chivas USA.
Oh, yeah.
People forget.
But it's a little different, but yes.
They were just like, we would rather Will Ferrell own this. Yeah, we would rather Will Ferrell own this than a Mexican soccer team.
Yeah. Oh God. But no, I think that story is great. Yeah, both the Mutiny and the Fusion, I think, are fascinating stories of the teams failing in that way. I know MLS owned them for a little bit. I know Tampa was contingent on the stadium deals and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it would be fascinating to know what is it like the last practice and things like that? What is the vibe like? Yeah.
Who was the last person in the office before they shut the lights off? Was there somebody, was it just a rush to take everything that wasn't nailed down so that you would have some merch or some things to commemorate the experience? What did that look like? What was going on? I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be neat.
Yeah.
So if you've got ideas for that, drop them in the chat. Let us know. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, even though it's preseason, we stay strong. Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.